Well, we've made our way through to the start of February and it's still been 3 months since we've suffered defeat here with this Buxton team. Fingers crossed that continues in two huge games today. First up, got the 5th round of the FA Trophy away at Newport County before a top of the table clash. Both teams joint on points in the National League as we take on Scunthorpe United. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 22 of Rookie to Rorty here on Shaun Does FM with Buxton FC. I hope you're doing well and come up day. Two massive games both away from home which could make things a little bit tricky. First up, the FA Trophy clash against Newport County, who do sit third in our division, so one of the tougher games we could have got, especially away from home. And then a much anticipated top of the table clash there in the National League against Scunthorpe United. Both teams joint on 69 points, so this should be a very nice matchup. We are just above them though because of goal differential. Fingers crossed that will stay that way off the back of today's episode. But yesterday we did take on Altrincham in the previous round of the FA Trophy and also York City in the National League. We dropped points for the first time in quite a while in the save. So if you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Since then, just played 2 games and we've picked up 2 wins. First up, we went away to take on Woking and an Alice Lahane double here. Either side of halftime did mean we picked up all 3 points. They made things interesting late there thanks to a goal to the Nolan, but thankfully just do enough there to pick up a 2-1 win, even with quite a heavy rotation for that game. It was a bit of a banana skin, that one away from home, off the back of putting out quite a strong team for those games that we did play in yesterday's episode, but thankfully we got away with that one and picked up all 3 points. And then back home, could put out a bit there of a stronger team when we took on Fylde and picked up a 3-0 win. An own goal earlier, I think it was off a strike there. It might have been from Colville. Still in some pretty good form for us here in this Buxton team. A few minutes later, it was Caden Kelly from the penalty spot, and Colville then got a proper goal just off the back of halftime. A relatively comfortable win, that one. So that's how we've made our way through to the situation that'll be coming up before that second game in today's episode. That big top of the table clash. Definitely a bit of a Wrexham versus Notts County situation in the National League. And to be fair, in this situation, we're probably the Wrexham with that Tycoon takeover that we did get last season. But before then, we've got the 5th round of this FA Trophy. We take on Newport County. Now, we took these guys on not too long ago in an episode. It feels like not actually that many episodes ago, but to be fair, in game, it was all the way back in early November off the back of a couple of slightly rough results around that FA Cup game that we did lose to Reading. We actually beat these guys 4-1, but that was at home. Fingers crossed here we can pull out a similar result, even though this one is away at Rodney Parade. And these guys, as I said before, one of the toughest teams we could have got in this competition at this stage away from home, sitting in third. But to be fair, they are 13 points behind us. So you'd like to think here, with quite a strong team we'll put out for this game, that we can pick up a win and make our way through to the next stage of the FA Trophy. Maybe just start to eye a potential double here in our 3rd season at Buxton. Our second full one, of course, off the back of keeping them up in those couple of months we did have back in 2024. But we have got still a couple of injury concerns going into today's episode. Ryan McLean, he's nearly back from sprained knee ligaments. He's 10 days to 3 weeks away, so hopefully we'll be back in time for the next episode we come back for. That'll be a big boost too, as he is clearly a lot better than players like Kyle Kelly, as well as Ollie Shield, who has come up from our under-21s at the moment. Eric Hambury, a broken collarbone, he's nearly back, but to be fair, Casper doing a decent job as the first choice. That was quite useful, the timing for that injury return. Also, Ben Midgley, he's getting closer to returning from that hip injury, but still out for a little while. 4 to 8 weeks, fingers crossed he might be back in time if we do have to make our way into the playoffs. But hopefully that won't be an issue off the back of the second game in today's episode. But before then, we do focus on this FA Trophy and hopefully might even be able to set up a final in this competition between us and Scunthorpe. Those guys take on Southend. You'd expect them to beat them. This definitely does look like the biggest tie at this stage of the competition. No TV coverage, which does feel a little bit dirty. Maybe they're focusing instead on the FA Cup, which no doubt is still taking place around about the same time, and probably not many teams at this level are still alive in that competition. In terms of our squad going into this game, obviously Carson in central midfield and Cole Kelly at left wing with those injuries we are dealing with currently, but also Lahane, his recent form actually been a bit better than George Morgan, so we'll actually start him there instead of Morgan, which is a little bit of a risk because Morgan, a lot taller, quite useful from set pieces, but hopefully Hewlett can step in at corners and still do a decent job for us, and we can get by Newport here in this 5th round clash in the FA Trophy. There's the lineup there, quite a narrow formation, hopefully can make the most of the fact here. We do like to exploit teams down our wings. That might have been a reason that we put quite a big betting on these guys the last time that we did take them on, so it's certainly not our strongest lineup for this game, but Lahane, I think, deserves to be there on recent form. But unfortunately, a very early highlight here. It is a free kick to the home team, and they camped inside here of our half as well. Tavares, for some reason, the lead cuts inside. Some simple play and overlap on the left-hand side. Yamoa will find Rai, who puts that one away. It's a simple chance. They take it, and we're 1-0 down inside a minute. Jake Leake there, he bid out, which to be fair was a good decision, but then he came in, which was not. There's a big overlap there. They find Rai, who slots that one past Casper at his near post. That is a dreadful start, first attack of the game, and we go 1-0 down. Let's hope we can find a way to bounce back. Maybe Morgan might be needed off the bench here if Lahane cannot grab us an equaliser, but thankfully now we've got to throw in down the other end. A few highlights early in this game so far. Not doing too much with the ball. He's just being pegged back here towards inside of our own half, and that's a poor pass there. So Newport do get on the attack. Good flick on there for Baker Richardson, but thankfully that time he was well offside. So Newport early here are all over us, because that will demand more a bit earlier than I usually would. But so far it's been a pretty dreadful start, and I'll be pretty disappointed as well if we got knocked out at this stage of the competition pretty much this season by any team not called Scunthorpe, and this would be a bit of a dent as well leading into that top of the table clash, which is also away from home. So hopefully here can find a way to at least get a draw from this one. Not too sure then if it goes to a replay or extra time. Another highlight here thrown inside of the final third. This time it's a defensive mistake there from Newport. Unoa goes up to get that one, misses it, and Cole Kelly can smash that one home on the volley. Pinion here gets the assist, but to be fair, the ball wasn't too special. It's just the missed header. The finish from Cole Kelly is actually quite good, to be fair, to put that one past Kelly in goal, and we make it 1-1. So thankfully, we've got things all level here just before halftime. Let's hope that's the way it stays. Connor Kirby on a yellow card, a free kick there to Newport, but thankfully that one does go high and wide. Stats-wise, this game is very, very even. The exact same XG for both teams, so 1-1 does feel like a very fair score, and we'll take off here at halftime. Connor Kirby or Hayden Lindley for this game. We do have on the bench Leeson instead of Mohamed. So Lindley is our only defensive midfield cover. Also, we will take off the Lahane on a 6.4 for George Morgan. Let's hope he can hear us ahead here in the second half. We do have Colville struggling, but Caden Kelly, not really a natural replacement, not as strong as a right winger as someone like Charlie Pavey would be. Sebastian Williams did come back in for this game. Forgot to mention that he's now back from that big injury that he suffered so far. Been doing a pretty decent job as well since coming back from injury, albeit in limited minutes. Did feel like this was a good time to bring him back, but so far it's just not quite clicking like it usually does here for us. Jake Leake now a yellow card, so with our final sub, we'll take him off there for Al Amin Kazim. Hopefully the former Shrimp here can do some damage in Wales against Newport County. But now about to make our way to the final half hour of this game. It's still 1-1. Colville having a bit of a shocker there at right wing today, which is a concern. Can't switch him because Cole Kelly can only play midfield apart from that, so not really a natural switch. David Carson, we could put further forward, but he also can't play as a winger. So unfortunately, there's some players would like to move here who we can't because of the positions that they can go to. Unfortunately, that felt like a bit of a harsh penalty we give away, and Baker Richardson will smash that one home for his 21st goal of the season. So Newport County, as I think we touched on before the last time we played them, are quite a good goal-scoring team, but that penalty did feel a bit harsh. I think it was Hewlett there that won the ball quite cleanly. The referee did not think so. Must have collected the player before the ball. We go 2-1 down, and about to make our way into the final 10 minutes of this game. I'm not really too sure what we can do. I don't think we can do the blitzing, as we don't have any other players out there who can play striker, so 2 up top won't work. So instead, we'll put both our wingers here onto attack. And apart from that, I'm not really too sure what else we should be doing in this situation. We'll see here what we can do. Our attacking midfield in this game has been utter rubbish. Williams, Carson and Colville on some poor ratings as well as some red hearts will go attacking late, but unfortunately I don't think it's going to work. We've been knocked out in the 5th round of the FA Trophy, and given our recent form, that's coming out of nowhere. That's our first defeat since the FA Cup first round against Ring at the start of November, and I just hope it won't get us down too much before that big Scunthorpe game. Hopefully it might be a blessing. It has happened in the FA Trophy, but we suffer a defeat there away from home and get knocked out there of the FA Trophy. A bummer, because I thought this season had a brilliant chance to win it considering how well we're doing in the National League. As I said, now let's hopefully bounce back and get a result away against Scunthorpe in that top of the table clash. So a disappointing result for us there first up in today's episode. Miss a good chance I felt there to pick up the FA Trophy, especially if we keep going the way we are this season. This game we're about to play against Scunthorpe, who unfortunately continue the momentum with a 2-1 win over Southend. But this might be the last chance we get to win this trophy if we get promoted, and we probably would have got fouled at home as well, so that could have been a quite winnable game for us. Unfortunately, we bottled that, so that might be our last chance in the FA Trophy, largely depending on what does happen in this next game. The top of the table clash, both teams join on 69 points, 13 clear of Newport as we take on Scunthorpe. We beat these guys 4-1 at home early this season. This time away from home, though, off the back of that defeat that we did just suffer, this could be a bit more difficult. They did lose to Bradford a couple of games ago. That's the reason that we did catch up to them there on top of the league and go above them with our goal differential. But they're a really good team around that. They've been picking up wins, albeit not by too big a margin, but to be fair, of late, we've also been quite similar. So we'll see how we get on here. To be fair, the immediate prediction, not too high, kind of like us. They're outperforming here what they were supposed to, but both of us here look like teams that should be fighting out the title this season in the National League. Let's see if we can take an advantage in this big game, and if we do, you'd like to think with the remainder of our run home, even though we do take on some decent teams away from home in the second half of our season, that we could make the most of it and then gain automatic promotion up to EFL League 2, which definitely would mean no FA Trophy for us next season. That's the reason I'm a bit PO'd about the result that we did just get there at Newport. One change to our team from that first game. George Morgan comes back in Lahane on heavy workload, so Zach Henry. But to be fair, I think the Lahane wasn't too good, missed his chance in that game to try and claim that starting spot for a little run, and an important one too. So that's the only change we've made from that first game to our starting 11 on the bench. We've brought Muhammad back in, and also Truman. He comes onto the bench instead of Hayden Lindley, just so we've got someone who can cover a bit further forward if Caden Kelly does need to play on the wing. So a little bit of a change there to our bench balance. Maybe an FA Trophy game was not the right one to do that before, because it did seem to prove a little bit costly there, those changes that we did make. But this is a massive game in the remainder of this National League season, even with still about 14 to go off the back of this one. If either team can pick up a win, that might give them the advantage with how big a gap there is back to the rest here on the table. Currently 13 points back to Newport County, who, to be fair, if both of us slip up the goal differential they've got, they could make things interesting, but it's a massive Liverpool-like gap there at the top of the National League. But first highlight here is in our favour. We eventually put that ball far post for George Morgan back in the team. We've given him the wake-up call that he might have needed. He might be back in form here. He hits that one home. Might have to call him St. George soon, because seriously, he's been that good for us this season. For the most part, hits that one home and gives us a 1-0 lead just shy of the 20-minute mark. Pinion there just dinks that one over the top, and thankfully Morgan can out-jump two of the Scunthorpe players and give us a 1-0 lead. So thankfully we've taken the lead early in this game, unlike what happened at Newport. And so far, stats-wise, getting all our shots on target, which is quite nice to see. So Morgan coming back in is definitely making a difference. Cole Kelly too. This might be his last game before Ryan McLean can work his way back into the team. So a big chance for him here to make an impact before that does become the case. But another throw in for us here inside of the final third, just before halftime. We try and float a ball far post again this time. Can't pick anyone out. We put that one there into the mix, and Morgan pulls that one back for Colville, who drills that one just inside that left-hand upright. And we've got a 2-0 lead just before halftime. Not too many highlights, but they've both resulted in goals. and a cushion goal lead now for us here. It's Pinion who finds Morgan for the second time in this game, but this time he pulls it back from what would have been an impossible angle, and Colville can beat their goalkeeper there and make it 2-0. So all of a sudden, we've turned around that pretty average result first up in today's episode, and looking quite good with just that one change that we've made. We've got a 2-0 lead, Morgan, with a goal and an assist. He's making a big difference back in the team. Will take off Pinion, playing very well, but on a yellow card for Mohammed, albeit Carson actually, I think, to be the right back. So maybe we'll actually change that sub and bring Truman on for Pinion and switch him with Carson instead. That might be a good option. Someone there a little bit more agile, and it does mean too, if one of our centre backs does get a yellow card, that we can take them off. So a little bit there of a change to what I was going to do. Carson today doing a lot better than he did in that Newport County game, but 2-0 up here. All we need to do is just play sensibly in the second half as Colville picks up a yellow card. Another player going a lot better than he did in that first game that we did play today. We'll get him to ease off tackles, seeing as our wing cover on the bench is not too great, especially on that right-hand side. But now Connor Kirby picks up a yellow card. Of course, Mohammed is still on the bench, so he can come on the actual backup in that balling midfield role. That's why we signed him. But now there's only 25 minutes left in this game so far. Not too much happening here in this top of the table clash, but thankfully it has been in our favour. And Sebastian Williams still working his way back from that injury. Probably a good idea here to take him off. We're down to a red heart with our final sub. Caden Kelly will come on for him. A few other players now are dropping down to those red hearts. That might be a bit of a concern late in this game, a few days off the back of that Newport County one. But thankfully, so far, we're holding on quite nicely. Will be a big chance here for Scunthorpe to make it 2-1. But the striker misses an absolute sitter. So everything coming up Millhouse for us here in this game. It really should be 2-1. And now a ball over the top to be fair. I think this time Morgan might be offside. He puts it away. And the referee has not put his flag up. He grabs a double. And we've got a 3-goal lead. Surely no coming back from this one for Scunthorpe. So this would be a massive 3 points for us here, and also it's a bit of a statement win, making it 3-0. Morgan dribbles that one there around Wazinski and goal for Scunthorpe. 3-0 off the back of a big chance for Scunthorpe to get that one back to 2-1 and make us a bit nervy late on in this game. Off the back of that, we will just start to time waste ever so slightly, but I'd like to think now we've made it 3-0. We probably don't even need to do that, making our way now into 5 minutes of added time. To be fair, stats-wise, this game has actually been quite even late on. There is a throw in here for the home team. They'll put this one far post, but thankfully someone there jumped in the way of Knight and puts that one over the crossbar. We might keep a clean sheet here in this top of the table clash. Indeed we do. That's a really nice win. George Morgan coming back in there, gave him the wake-up call we needed to in that FA Trophy. He's improved his form with 2 goals and an assist and really driven us there to pick up a 3-0 win. Scunthorpe did have quite a few shots, actually, a few more than we did in that game, but you would have seen there that graph with the bars and also the XG chart. I think for most of that game, we were on the front foot, so we deserved that win. 3-0 might be a little bit flattering, but we'll take that one. And for the first time all season, we go top of the league on our own in that goal differential as well. A big help for the 14 games that we do have left. Fingers crossed there won't be too many more slip-ups off the back of that 3-0 win away at Scunthorpe. So a huge bounce back win for us there, second up in today's episode off the back of being knocked out of the FA Trophy. As I said, that one did sting just a little bit with how good we've been going this season. I thought it was a great chance for us there to pick up that trophy, and especially now as we go lonesome on top of the National League off the back of that 3-0 defeat there of Scunthorpe away from home. So definitely got the win over those guys this season, as we'll tell George Morgan. Very happy that you've come back into form there at that time. That now makes in the league 18 games in a row without losing, nearly half a season. So no doubt that's the reason we've jumped up the table so much over the course of the last couple of months. And that's a massive result, as you're about to see. Again, the league table, we have 3 points clear. Let's hope we can make the most of that and gain back-to-back or make promotions and get ourselves up to EFL League 2. But that will do it for today's episode. Bit of a mixed one there with that loss to Newport backed up with that big win over Scunthorpe. But if you enjoyed that one, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. Now, what we'll come back for in tomorrow's episode, we'll just check what we've got coming up, because that definitely was the toughest game we had left for the remainder of the National League season. And of course, we got knocked out of the FA Trophy, which is going to be something else that we could have built these episodes around. So it's now time for us to just focus on hopefully that automatic promotion up to League 2 for next season. Rochdale could be tricky, but at home I'd like to think we can beat those guys. South Shields away though, that could be interesting. They've just made their way up to third off the back of jumping above Newport on that match day where we beat Scunthorpe. So maybe that's a game that we come back for in tomorrow's episode. We'll definitely skip Tamworth because they are rubbish. We should beat them even if we can put our rotated team for that game. Yeovil Town though away, that could be interesting. Definitely think away from home. Those will be the tricky fixtures we do have left this season. We'll probably come back tomorrow for a double of South Shields and Yeovil Town and hopefully keep hold of top spot in the league and not just on goal differential. Fingers crossed can keep that points gap over Scunthorpe now. So until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.